वृन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 13, verse number 27. So Sri Krishna is continuing to reply to the question of Sanaka, where they had asked the question to Brahma that how can you separate the mind from sense objects because they are intermixed. When Brahma was not able to answer, that Hansa avatar appeared. When he came there, they respected him and they asked him, Ko Bhavan, who are you? So then he answered that your question is useless, meaningless. And then he spoke about how these things are mixed and they can be separated by understanding that Jiva is separate from them. Jivasya dehobhyam gunasceto vadatmana. So by meditating on him or by surrendering to him or identifying with him, depending on which path one is following, one can become free from both. So that's what he read. Sandeep, क्या पूछना?
So actually, from yesterday's class, it was a little confusing because he said that this Chetna, this consciousness also, that is I am, this sense objects also I am, and I am everything. So if he is everything, and he is come as Hansa, which metaphorically separates milk from water. So first he is answering that he is everything, and then now I can't get the point now. What is the separate? What is he separating? Like how is he separating? And then finally in the last sloka we did yesterday, it was advised that you engage everything in his service, then you will be free from the consciousness entering into the sense objects, or the sense objects entering into the consciousness, which is an irreversible kind of, which is a reversible kind of a thing. One goes to the other goes, the first comes to the later. So it's a little confusing. I'm not able to understand this point.
What is the confusion?
Confusion is if everything is him.
But do they?
What is the separation?
But do they think like this? They think like this. Why would they ask the question? If they know this, then where is the question?
If everything is him.
That's what I'm saying. Did the Kumaras know this? Kumaras did not know.
Otherwise, there was no point in asking the question.
Yeah. So now when he's telling this, then does the question arise?
Question doesn't arise, but then
So
actually it's looking like that Hansa is confusing the Kumaras more than actually giving a detailed kind of a reply.
Because Kumara's question is also confusing.
But that is an experience, everyone's experience is that once you are contemplating on any sense object, then it enters your...
So therefore if he's telling that everything is me, then you don't need to do that. Then use everything for him. So then you don't need to separate. That's what he said. There are two views. One is that you think you're devotee, then in the commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti said, then there is no need for you to separate. Just engage everything in my service. And if you think that there is only Brahman reality, then identify with me, and then you are separate from them. That's what he said.
Identify with me and then you separate me and then...
Yeah, if there is only Brahman, then what is to be separated from what? If you follow Gyan Marg.
The sense objects are also Brahman.
Yeah, everything is Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma.
Okay. So basically, still, maybe in the further shlokas it may get a little more clear.
Yes. Anupam.
Pranam Babaji, in the commentary of verse number 25, the third line, rather the fourth line, when he says that ब्रह्म स्वरूपस्य जीवस्य देह अध्यस्तम उपाधिरेव न तु स्वरूपम. So he is meaning to say that these gunas and cheta, they are the like the deha of the Brahma Swarup Jiva, but they are not, I mean, they are like the deha or like the upadhi of the Brahma Swarup Jiva, but they are not in the Swarup. Is that what he is meaning to say? So they here means upadhi, right?
Yes.
I correctly understand.
Yes.
जैसे देह जो है वो जीव की उपाधि है, वैसे ही ये भी देह जैसे ही हैं जीव के.
ये mean, what do you mean
ये गुणा और चेतन.
Yeah, these are the upadhis only. What do you mean they're like upadhi? These themselves are the upadhi.
Right.
So what is the question?
So this word, the word deha is little confusing. So jivasya deha adhyastam upadhi revo.
What is deha? I mean, what is this question? I don't understand. You have a crystal and you put a flower next to it. Crystal appears red. That is called upadhi. So similarly, Jiva is next to the body and he thinks I am the body. That is the upadhi. He is not the body. This crystal is not red. It appears red because of the flower. Similarly, because of the avidya, you are thinking you are this body. That is the upadhi. So the problem क्या है?
The problem is, I mean, philosophically कोई problem नहीं है. वो जो जिस language में वो बात कह रहे हैं, वो language समझ नहीं, language थोड़ी सी terse है.
So now you understood what is the problem. Deha is the upadhi. I mean, in philosophy, body is considered as upadhi. And द्वैतवाद थोड़ा ज्ञान होना चाहिए ना. द्वैतवाद क्या हमारे अद्वैतवाद speaks always upadhi. That everything is upadhi. There is only Brahman. That's why it says Brahm Swarup.
Right.
तो इसमें समझना क्या है?
Right. Thank you. Language थोड़ी समझ नहीं आ रही थी. बाकी philosophy में कोई problem.
Okay. So now he speaks a nice verse to show how these things are upadhi. Because he says that deham ubhayam gunaschet madatmana. So he says jagrata swapna sushuptam cha gunato buddhi vrittayah tasam vilakshano jiva sakshittvena vinischitah. So very practical thing. He says that we have experience of 3 states, everybody. Wakeful state, then dream state, and dreamless state. So we experience this. If we are experiencing, then simple principle is that the experiencer is different from what is being experienced. This is our experience also in the day-to-day life. If I am seeing the book, I am not the book. If I am seeing you, I am not you. So we all experience these 3 states. So that means we are not these 3 states. So therefore he says that these 3 states are buddhi vrittis. Because of all our experience, where is it? It's in the form of vritti, just a modification of mental states. These are all chitta vrittis, mano vrittis, buddha vritti, whatever you want to say. That is what we are experiencing all the time. We really do not come in contact with anything outside. It's all inside, which is happening inside mind, or now what you call neurobiology will say neurons lighting up in the brain. That's what the experience is. So then we are not all this. So these are all happening because of the gunas. So this is also interesting that these states we have. When we are awake, we have one type of feeling, one type of experience, and we deal in one way. Our emotions, thoughts, They are on one level. Then when we are dreaming, nothing is happening outside. When we dream, nothing is happening outside. It's all inside our head. So what really happens? So he says you change the guna. So guna changes. Then you go into deep sleep, that also stops what is you are experiencing. Then another guna changes. So there are three gunas, sattva guna, rajas and tamas. So based on these three gunas, we have three experiences. Wakeful, sattva guna, dream, rajas, deep sleep or dreamless sleep, tamas. So this is the experience we have. So then he says, tasam vilakshano jiva. The jiva is distinct from these three states, which are all modifications of buddhi vritti. And sakshitvena vinishchita. And he is the sakshi. Sakshat drashta, sakshi. So drashtri. Sakshat drashti, sakshi. So since he is the drashta, then drashta is always different from drishya. There is a very small book written by Shankaracharya. It is called Drik Drishya Vivek. So drishya means which is seen, and drik means the chitti sakti or the consciousness. So vivek means discernment, separation. So he explains this thing there. So therefore we are not any of these things, because the question was how to separate this. So separation is done by knowing yourself. Otherwise you cannot separate. If you want to separate mind from sense objects or sense objects from the mind, it is not possible unless you separate yourself from both. That's what he was saying, ubhim tyajet. That you have to give up both, or you have to understand that you are none of them. Then only you can be extricated from this mess. So tadubhyam paraspara santyagascha durghata eva ityaha. No, we are on 27, right? So vastutastu nirlep jivasya gunaischitadibhischa sambandha eva nasti. So he says that in reality there is no relationship of the jiva with all these gunas and chitta. So gunas means the sense objects, chitta, mind. So he says that jiva actually has no sambandha with them. Asango hi ayam purushaha. It's completely asanga. Earlier also Krishna says baddha mukta iti vyakhya guntamena vastu gunasya maya mulatvat name mokshana bandhanam. So there also he used the word guna, that it is only because of the gunas and not in the swarupa, not vastuta. So therefore Krishna himself said there that guna bandha moksha bandha mukta iti vyakhya gunata mena vastuta. Same word was used by him. Here he is also saying vastuta. So vastuta tu nirlepa. So nirlepa means that nothing is sticking to it. Lepa means like you put something on another, plaster, paint. So he says that there is nothing. Jiva, it is not sticking to the jiva. It is nirlep. Buddha mukt suddha. Suddha buddha mukt. So sakshi, that is what jiva is. Nirlipt. Mithyadhyas tyaga eva tatyaga uchyate. So then what is the problem? The problem is that there is adhyas. That you are mistaking one thing for the other. Like you dye your hair. So your hair is not the way it looks now after you have dyed. So that is the adhyas. Adhyas means putting one thing on top of another. That's what dyeing is. You put another color on your hair. So that to take that hair, that this is the color of the hair, that is the mithya part. So now there are two views. The Advaita Vedantis say that the color is mithya. So they say that the body is mithya, the world is mithya, everything is mithya. Brahm Satyam Jagat Mithya. Vaishnavas say that Jagat is not mithya, Jagat is real, Jiva is real. To understand that it is you, that is mithya. Body is also real, it is made of Bhagavan Shakti. But to think you are the body, that is false. That is what mistake is. So there is nothing that, no problem with the world. But to think that this is me or this belongs to me and mine, I and my, that's what gives the problem. So that's why he said that this is also me. If we can understand that, then we will not identify with it. Then we will give up, we become free from it. So therefore he says to give up this adhyas, which is mithya, that is what it means to give up this vishaya and chitta, which he was saying, that how you give up. So uchyate, evam tatyaga uchyate, jagratiti, jagrat jagra. So therefore he speaks this verse to understand this distinction. So jagrat means, jagar means awake. So there is a sloka which comes later on, where Krishna actually says that Sattvat Jagaranam Vidyat Rajsa Swapnam Adishet Praswapam Tamsa Janto Sturiyam Trishu Santatam. So he says that by Sattva Guna you have the wakeful state, by Rajas you have the dream state, and by Tamas you have the dreamless state. And then Jantu, the living being, is the Turiya, is the fourth. And Trishu Santatam, but he is existing in all three states. When state is changing from one to another, then he does not change, because he is the drashta. So drashta cannot change. If drashta changes, then he will not have the experience of the change. So he remains constant, so therefore Trishu Santatam. These are the three states, but actually dreams also, various varieties there in dream also. Sometimes there lucid dream, or you think you're awake and you're dreaming, or sometimes you become unconscious. That's neither dreaming nor wakeful state. So some other states are there like that, but primarily these three. So the jiva is continuously existing in all of them. So vakshaman guntaeva hetor buddher vrittaya. So these gunas which will be described in this verse, because of that only this changes. So prakriti, the gunas are changing. So even if you don't want to sleep, the sleep will come, because the gunas will change. They overpower each other, as described in Bhagavad Gita. So when the other one becomes prominent, then you start dreaming. Sometimes you are sitting in the class and you are dreaming. So because the guna changes. So he says, Jivastu Vilakshana. Jiva is Vilakshan. Vilakshan means Tattad Avastha Rahita Eva. So it is free from these states. So the Jiva does not dream, Jiva does not sleep. It is always So Jiva is Gudakesh. It's free from sleep. Kutaha? Why is that? Tasam sakshitveneva vinishchita. Because it has been ascertained. So, on the very fact that he is a sakshi, that is the hetu. Sakshitvena means because of being the witness of these three states, then he does not experience these states. So therefore dream is also happening outside the mind. Wakeful, all the experiences are happening outside only, not inside Atma. Purushottam Prabhu.
In the slok we read there is this second line, prasvapam tamsa jantoho turiyam. Now turiyam is the fourth stage, right? Janto, so, and then he says trisu santatam.
Kya
So
hoga?
this, what is the happening in the fourth stage?
No, Jiva is the fourth state. He is not in the wakeful, he is not dream, he is not deep sleep. He is in the fourth state.
So what is the fourth state mean here for Jiva then? He is a sakshi, that's what it implies there here?
Yeah, that's what it means. That is none of these three.
Okay.
And then there is a fifth
It's
state.
not a Turiya stage because the Advaitavad mostly speaks about Turiya stage.
And Turiya only means four, that's all.
Okay.
The three states are belonging to matter. Fourth state belongs to Jiva. Then fifth belongs to Bhagavan. Sixth is Swam Bhagavan. So yarhi sansriti bandho ayam atmano gunvrittidah mai turiye sthito jahiyat tyagas tadgun chetasam. So now he says that yarhi sansriti bandho ayam atmano gunvrittidah. He says because this sansriti and bandha, this bondage to samsara is because of the guna vritti. It is because of the vrittis which are coming from the gunas. It is not real, same thing which was said earlier. Bandha moksha iti vyakhya gunatamena vastuta. Same thing is here he sansriti bandho em atmana sansriti bandha guna vritti. Mai turiya sthito jahiyat. So therefore become situated in me, which is in the fourth, which is beyond these three, then you will give it up. Tyagas tad guna chetasam. And then this guna and chetas will also be given up. So if you give up this bondage by becoming situated in me, then this is how you will become free from both. Because this was the question asked. Although the question was how to disentangle them. So he says you cannot disentangle them, you have to become free from them. That's how you will get disentangled. So kincha yadyapi guna sarvatha eva jivasya na bhavanti tadapi dehadhyas prasadad gunvritti saprapnoti. So he says, although it is true that the gunas do not belong to Jiva at all. So guna, they are not Atmana. So guna belong to Prakriti and not to Jiva. So then why is the problem? He says, even then, dehadhyas prasadat gunvritti. So why do we come under the influence of the gunas? Because of the dehadhyas. Because of identifying with the body. So once you identify with the body, then naturally you are going to be influenced by the gunas. Just like if you love somebody, then something happens to that person, good or bad, you become influenced by that. It's not happening to you, it is outside you, it it is happening to the other person, but because you are identifying out of love, so then you become influenced by that. So similarly, these gunas are outside, not in the jiva, but because of the adhyas, then he becomes implicated in that. Saprapnuti tatasya dehadhyas bhange sati eva tamse tyajati ityah. So therefore only when dehadhyas is given up, this identification is destroyed, then only you become free from the gunavrittis naturally. यर्हि आत्मनो जीवस्य अयं देहाध्यास रूप संसार बंधो अभूत तर्हि एव स गुणवृत्तिद जीवाय तस्मै गुणवृत्ति प्रदो अभूत. So because Atma, the Jiva, has this identification with the body, therefore there is a bondage with samsara, and therefore there is influence of the gunas, the vrittis of the gunas, various states. So gunvritti pradabhut. Yarhi cha mai turiya sthita sanjayati mam sansriti bandham tyajet. But if you become situated in me and give up this dehadhyas and then the sansriti bandha, bondage to the samsara, then these gunas and chetasam, they will also be given up. तदा गुण चेतसाम गुणानाम चेतसस्य अन्योन्यम स्वतः त्यागो भवति. So then you become disentangled from that. This is the simple answer he is given. But it is not easy. It's very simple to say it, difficult to do it. Why is that? Because of ahankar. So he says, ahankara kritam bandham atmano artha viparyayam vidvan nirvidya samsara chintam turye sthitas tyajet. So he says that this bandhan is caused by the ahankar. So ahankar identifies the I of the Atma, identifies with the ahankara of the Prakriti. That is the bandha. So therefore it says ahankara kritam bandha atmano artha viparyayam. So then the Atma becomes viparyaya. Means Atma is eternal. It appears temporary because then death. Atma has no birth. Then it has birth. Atma has no old age. So Atma is not miserable, becomes miserable. So all these viparya, the opposite things happen because of the adhyas. So therefore it says Atmano viparya anandadi avaranena anarthetu. So it's ananda, avaran, doesn't feel its own state of happiness, and it becomes the cause of anarthetu. Vidwan janan san nirvidya dukkham etaditi gyatva. So one who understands this, then he should become dispassionate with it, that this is all suffering. Turiya sthito bhutva sansar chintam. So become situated in fourth state. Fourth, earlier he said myself or Brahman or Jiva, whatever, but different from this. Sansar chintam sansaro buddhi tasmin chintam abhimanam. So the samsar here he says is the buddhi. Where is the samsara? It's in our mind. So he says abhimanam tatkritam bhog chintam cha tajet. So to have the abhiman, identity with it, and also the thought that you will enjoy. Ishwaraham ham bhogi siddhaham balvan sukhi yakshe dasyami modisya ityagyan vimohita. So adhya So this is the sansar bandhan. So he says you can give up all this. Bhog chintam tyajet. Sri Vishnu Chakravarti says uktameva artham spashtyan asvasayati. So he says the meaning which was said earlier, he makes it more clear here. He says ahankarena dehe aham buddhya eva krit bandham. He says it is because of the ahankara that you have aham buddhi in the body. Aham buddhi means that I am the body. So that is the bondage. So it is at that level. So vidwan janan kidrisham atmano arthviparya. So vidwan or learned person knowing this, what he knows, atmano arthviparya, that I am actually eternal but now body is temporary and I am identifying with it and I feel I am temporary. I take birth and death. Anandadi avaranena anarthetum nirvidya tam tyaktva. So this is the cause of anartha, that my happiness gets blocked. Turiye mai anand rupe sthitasan sansar bhay bhavanam tajet. So become situated in me, who is anand rupa, and then become free from the fear of the bondage to the world. See the simple process. Yavan nana arthadhi punso nanivartet yukti bhi jagarti api swapnagya swapne jagaranam yatha. This he says something very interesting. He says, as long as you will not give up this anartha buddhi or nana artha buddhi, the varieties which are happening here, that these are various objects which I can enjoy. So unless you will give them up by yukti, by your buddhi or intelligence, then what happens? Jagarti api swapnagya. That even when you are awake, you are actually dreaming. He gives a very nice example. He said, just like when you are dreaming, you are in a dream state. But in dream state, you are awake. Right? In the dream, you are awake, you are walking somewhere, you are doing something, you are reading, you are talking to somebody. It is actually the state of dream, but you are awake, or you think you are awake. He says that is also happening when you are awake. Now when you are in the wakeful state, you are actually dreaming. You get the point? So the point is that in the dream state, your wakefulness is also dream only. Why? Because the dream state is the product of Rajaguna, avidya. So similarly, when we are so-called awake and we think this is our wakeful state, it says this is also same. It's only just as we think we are awake in the dream, like that now we are thinking we are awake. But this is also like swapna. Why? Because of agya, because we are ignorant. As long as we are ignorant of our own swarupa, our own true identity, then you may be in the wakeful state, you may be in the dream state. But you are ignorant in both states. You are only saying this is that dream state. Also when you come out of the dream, then you say it is a dream state. At that time you are thinking you are awake. Similarly now we are thinking we are awake. But when we will come out, then we will say, oh, this was also like dream, ignorance. So this interesting point he says. He says, therefore we have to get out of this. Kincha yavan नानार्थधि नाना विषय ग्रहणम न मम एवं इति आकारक युक्तिभिर न निवर्तते तावत जागृति अपि संसार बंधात मुक्तो अपि स्वप्न संसार बद्धे अज्ञ. So he says, as long as you are entangled in these vishayas, thinking all these are mine and absorbed in them, you will remain in trouble. Only by yukti, when you give up that actually these are not mine, I am not this, so then you will become free from it. Otherwise you will remain, although you think you are awake, you are thinking that you are liberated, you are not bound. People don't think we are bound. It is only when you actually unnecessarily tell people that actually you are bound. People in general are not thinking like this, that we are bound, they think they are free. So he says, sansar bandhat mukto api. He says, you think you are free, but you are swapna sansar bandhe, but you are like dreaming that you are free, but you are bound by that. Why? Because you are agya. Sa jnani eva uchate, you are ignorant, you are called only ignorant. स्वप्न मध्य एव स्वप्नादि यथा स्वप्नात् यथा जागरणम तथैव तस्य ज्ञान मध्य एव ज्ञानम इत्यर्थ. So he said, just like in the dream, you think you are awake, but you are dreaming. So similarly, when you are in the midst of ignorance, you think you are awake, but you are ignorant. And as long as you are ignorant, you are bound. So that is the situation. Asatvad atmano anyesham bhavanam tatkrita bhida gatayo hetuvasya mrisha swapna drishayatha. So he says that all the bhavas, all the states of Atma, various states, means we have various types of bodies, human body, animal body, dev body, asurik body. So they are all asattva. As far as Atma is concerned, they don't belong to him. Asattvad atmano api anyasham bhavanam. These all various states, bodies, which we identify with. So they are not his. And all the tatkrita bhida and the various divisions which are made, I am human being, I am male, I am female, I am young, I am old. So all these divisions also. And the various destinations, I go to heaven, I go to hell, I go to this country, that country. And the hetu of all these movements, karma. And hetusyasya mrisha. Hetuvasya mrisha. So he says these are all mrisha. This is not real. Because Atma is not having any of these states. So swapna drishayatha. Just he gives the example of swapna. So just as in the swapna you may do work and you get paid for that. Then you go and have a picnic or go on a vacation. Then your alarm clock rings. Suddenly you wake up. So everything is gone. So it's also like this in the wakeful state. That all various things which you are having, they are not yours. Nanu katham veda pramita varnashram karmadi nana dhir jnanino nivartate tatraha sattvat. So he's asking a question that all these different karmas, different states, heaven, hell, they are described in the Vedas, Varnashram system, and the duties of that. So how one become free from this ajnani? So he says asatvate. He says because they don't belong to Atma. Anyasham bhavanam dehadi abhimananam. So these other bhavas which are not Atmas, the various states. So he only has an abhiman, identity with them. Asatvat mithyatvat. They don't exist in him, therefore they are mithya. Tatkrita dehadi abhiman krita varnashramadi rupa bheda gataya. And the various divisions of varnashram, brahman, kshatriyas, etc. based on identification with the body and the various destinations you reach, Swargadi Falani cha, the result in the form of going to heaven, hell, and the causes of that good karma, bad karma, hetva karmani cha, asya jivatmano mrisha mithya eva. So he says all these things do not belong to the jivatma, they are all mithya, they are all unreal. इत्यर्थ देहादीनां तद सत्यत्वेपि शशस्य श्रृंग संबंधः भावात् सश्रृंगम मिथ्या एव इत्यर्थ. So again he makes it clear that it is not like Advaitavadis say mithya, but there is a distinction. So he says the bodies are real. When he says they are mithya, he is not saying that bodies are mithya. The relationship is mithya. The relationship of Atma with these bodies is not real. So he gives an example, that horn of a rabbit. So he says rabbit is there, horn is also there, cow has a horn, buffalo has a horn. But the horn does not have a relationship with the rabbit. The rabbit and horn don't go together. Horn is there, rabbit is there, but no rabbit horn. So what is false is the relationship between these two, not the two objects themselves. The objects are real, but they don't have relationship. So you cannot say this is a horn of a rabbit. So similarly, I am there, I am real. Body is there, body is real. But this is my body or I am the body, that is mithya. That is not real. So that has to be understood. Swapna drisha swapnam drashtur jivasya swapnik vastunam mithyatvam punasya swapna janye swapne paramanna bhojanasya tat sadhanasya dugdha tanduladi aharanasya cha mithyatvam yatha. So he said just like the dream. So there is a dream, and in the dream you are seeing, you are the seer. So for you, the seer, the jiva, the objects in the dream, they are not real. Means you don't have any relationship with them. Punasya swapna janye swapne paramanna bhojanasya. So he says, like in the dream, there may be a nice meal, and there may be ingredients to make that meal: rice, dal, milk, masala, everything. He says all these things may be there in the dream and the food may be there, but you don't have any relationship with it. You can think that I am eating, I am enjoying, but when you wake up you know that it is not true. So he says exactly like that. Now when we are awake, so we are enjoying nice meal or nice music or something else. But actually you are not having any relationship with it. Because all this is happening inside the body only, not in you. So this, he says, try to understand this. Tanmaji.
Babaji, is the Hridaya Granthi real or is it false?
What is real?
Is the Hridaya Granthi
Hridaya
real
Granth.
or false?
What do you think?
Based on what you're saying, I would say false, but I want to say it's real.
If it is real, then
Because
it,
you're saying
it will.
I mean, what Krishna is saying, there's no relationship. The relationship between the Atma and the mind or the body is Hridaya Granthi, the I-ness of the Atma being bound up with the I, Ahankar, material Ahankar. But if you say there's no relation, that means that would be false,
Yeah,
like the horn of a rat.
yeah,
It is false.
It is false. If it was real, you will never be able to give it up.
Right.
Then you will be always bound. That's why Krishna says, Buddha mukta iti vyakhya gunatamena vastuta. It is not vastuta. That means bondage is not real. That means the granthi is not real.
So this is quite inconceivable.
Yes, now you got the right word.
The Hridaya Granthi is the whole problem. It's impossible to get rid of, and yet we say it doesn't exist.
Yes. So that's where you have to accept that there is God. And you have to accept that it is God's Maya, not my Maya. Then only you understand that it is not within my means to get rid of it. Because how is it? Logically it doesn't make sense. If you apply logic, it doesn't make sense. But it is going on. It is making a lot of sense. When it seems nonsense. So that is Maya. So that's why Vidura asked this question and Maitreya said, Seyam Bhāgavato Maya Yan Nayena Viruddhyate Iswarasya Vimuktasya Karpanyam Utbandhanam. Says, how does it happen? The Jiva is completely free, Vimukta, and Master, Ishvara. He is even calling him Ishvara, Iswarasya Vimuktasya, but he becomes like pitiable situation and bound. So he says this cannot be explained except for Maya of Bhagavan. So these are the secrets of this material world, which you cannot figure out by any means except from Shastra. If Shastra is not there by any process, you can never know it. Because the very instruments by which you want to know, they are under the influence of this avidya. So how will you know? It's not possible. So this is also the meaning behind this story, that Kumaras did not know who are the great Jnani Gurus. They have the Kumara Sampradaya, Brahma has Brahma Sampradaya. But he also could not know, then Hamsa has to come to tell this. That's also the significance, that without him we cannot understand it. Yameva esha vrunate tena labhya. Yes.
Follow-up question on that. Now this famous verse, Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshatah Syat Ishadapetasya Viparyayo Smriti and all that. There we have a cause and effect.
Yeah.
Although it's not happy, but we have cause and effect. But if something doesn't exist, and yet it is a cause for an effect. So for example, we say our consciousness is infused into the mind. That's how the mind functions and so on. And yet that infusion is really not real.
Yeah, but just
So
like
the
you,
question
just
is there an issue here where a non-existent cause gives rise to an effect?
no, it's just like, it's not non-existent. The cause is avidya, agyan, ignorance. You mistake, there is a rope. So rope is not snake. But you mistake it for a snake. And then you have a fear. So fear is being caused by something which is non-existent.
True.
But it's not that it is absolutely non-existent. The rope is existent. But what is not existent is the snake, which you are thinking it is a snake. So that ignorance is there. The cause is ignorance. Anadi avidya. So that is the cause. That is the part of Maya.
And so Anadi Avidya, as Sri Jiva Goswami explains, is the beginningless absence of experience of Bhagavan.
Yes.
That will be real.
Yeah.
That's definitely real. And then whatever else happens through
Yeah.
unreal, intermediate, vyapara.
Yeah. So Maya is not false. So this is another thing. Sometimes people think Maya means something false. No, Maya is real. So therefore Maya's potency, avidya, is also real. So the avidya is doing its job. Therefore the creation is real, because Maya also is name for the Prakriti. As three gunas, bhumirapo analo vayu khammano buddhirevaja ahankariti yamme bhinna prakriti. So it's also part of Maya. Sandeep.
Babaji Maharaj, so there was a little difficulty in understanding this thing that when two things are real, like here he is giving the example, the body is real, the sense objects are real, and the jiva is also real, but then the relation between the jiva and the body is false. It is not true, is false, we can see. Similarly, like this Hridaya Granthi, this aham of the Atma is real. So ahankar of the mind, that ahankar part is also real, but they are coming together, they becoming one. That is not real.
Yeah, obviously.
What is? So two things which are real.
How can they become one?
No, but then the relation between two real things, how can the relation between two real things be false?
No, it is not there. It's not false. Suppose you have some people, I mean, it's a very simple thing. You have your neighbor. Your real neighbor real doesn't mean that you have a relationship with them. What is the problem? And somebody may think that these people are related. They are not. Hari Bharose.
Pranam Babaji. One example, one instance that comes to mind of Hridaya Grantham is how some animals are tamed as babies, a chain is tied to their feet, and even after some time the chain is removed, but they always remain in this misconception that they are tied and they don't run away from that little circle that is created.
Yeah, so
But
that.
my question is,
Hmm.
sorry, yes, I think the question I was trying to get to is, he's clearly establishing that that you should not have any sense of belonging to these. Why is he not categorically establishing the ownership of belonging of this? Why is he saying this does not belong, or this relationship between you and what you observe does not, the ownership does not vest with you?
I'm not clear about your question. What exactly is the question?
Krishna could have said here that these things belong to me and are making of my energy, so the belonging is with me. Don't try to take credit of this.
No, he will say, because you see, he's speaking to the Jnanis. You have to reply according to the student. So the student are of Jnana Marg.
So he's refraining for that reason.
So he's giving the reply to them, they will understand like that. But otherwise he has also hinted that when he says that.
Yes, he does hint that. Yes.
Yeah. He says, Ahameva na matto anyaditi buddhadva manjasa. Verse number 24.
Yeah.
He says, it's all me, there is nothing separate from me.
Yes. Yes.
But his
So
stress,
that would be aimed at bhakti marga.
yeah, but stress here is primarily on the vivek, the discernment. That is what is stressing here.
Sense of this.
Yeah. That's why this verse was spoken, that Jagaran, Sattva, that Buddhi Vritte, Tasam Vilakshano Jiva, Jagrat Swapna Susuptam Cha, Gunta Buddhi Vritte. Naji.
Thank you, Babaji.
Babaji. Is it okay if I ask a question going back to last class yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just watching the recording this morning, and I was thinking there was one point that briefly came up that Jivatmans as Jivatmans are all qualitatively identical. So like, and I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding that correctly. That like, I'm a Jivatman and some other human beings are Jivatman. So as Jivatmans, there's no difference between us at all. I mean, we're numerically different, but other than our numerical difference, we're completely identical. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm glad it's taken me a long time to I didn't realize that until yesterday, until the class. So my Swarupa is precisely the same as the Swarupa of any other Jivatma. Is that
true? Including birds, animal, trees, plants, everything same, no difference.
Okay.
The only difference is at the bodily level. The difference is only at the level of body, not at the level of Atma.
A corollary of this would be that if, say, there's two bound Jivatmas, and say they both perform sadhana and attain prema, and one attains prema in like Vatsalya Bhav and another in Sakya Bhav, the difference between the bhavs came from the Antaranga Shakti. It didn't come from their Swarupas. It came from outside of them, right? Would that be? Or is that more complicated?
No, you're right. That's true.
Okay.
Because it's not inside, so it cannot come from inside.
And this is why the guru needs to give the bhav, right? The bhav can't come from inside the Jivatman. Or is that going too far?
No, that's true.
Okay. Thank you. This has been a big realization for me. This changes my perspective and everything. Thank you, Babaji.
No problem.
Babaji, in the example what you gave, mistaking a rope for a snake, there the fear is real or is it unreal?
It's real? What do you mean unreal? What is unreal fear?
Now, if the fear is real, that means we having feeling of that we are in sansar, that should also be real because we are mistaking this sansar for real. संसार हम जो ये ब्रह्म रूप संसार है उसमें हम मिथ्यात्व का अभ्यास कर रहे हैं और फिर उस संसार से हमें भय लग रहा है और हमारा उसमें अभिनिवेश हो रहा है। तो अगर हम इस एग्जाम्पल को, इस कोरोलरी को उससे में जो हमें सर्प का भय होता है तो
तुम्हारा आवाज गया।
जी बाबा जी, तो रज्जु में जो सर्प का भय हो रहा है तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग फिर
चलो अपना प्रश्न पूछो यार भैया, प्रश्न पूछो यार, तुम ये मेरे को क्यों बता रहे हो ये सब? व्हाट इज योर क्वेश्चन? जस्ट आस्क योर क्वेश्चन।
Just as the fear of rope, of snake in the rope is real, so the fear of being in this sansar should also be real.
Yes, it is real. But it is
So
not.
then why do we go? The
But-
relationship is, I mean, fear is because of the relationship, right?
Yeah, but the fear is
Then
not
why
in
do we go
you. The fear is real, but it's not in you. To think it is your fear, that is not real. That's the whole thing. Fear is happening in mind, not in Atma.
So to think that it is happening in Atma, this is unreal. If we think it is happening in the mind, then it is real.
It is happening only in mind. That's what we are saying, Gun Buddhi Vrittaya. He said all these three states are Gun Vritti, Buddhi Vritti. Just try to understand. Don't have to go into so much logic of snake, this, that. He says, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptaya, these are Guna Buddhi Vrittaya. Right? Tasam Vilakshano Jiva. So whatever you are experiencing in the wakeful state, whatever the experience is happening in the dream state or the dreamless state, all this is not in Jiva. So always remember Krishna's statement from Bhagavad Gita, Ichchadves, Sukham Dukkham, Sanghatas Chetana Dhriti, Iti Kshetram Samasena Savikaram Udaharat. It's all Kshetra, not in the Jiva. But we speak like that because now we are bound, we are thinking, we are bound means we are identifying. When you identify, you cannot segregate. Then you say, oh, it is real, it is happening in me.
So in a nutshell, if I clearly understand Babaji, Ichcha, Dvesh, Sukh and Dukh, these are real but they are not in the Atma.
ये नई बात सीख रहे हो क्या? Is it new to you?
Seems like Babaji. Just one more quick question I have. In Paramatma Sandarbha, we studied that Atma has Kartritva, Bhoktritva and Gyatritva. It only has the potency to of Kartapan and of being a Karta, Gyatritva and Bhokta. But the instruments for expression of these three are not there. For that, it needs senses and body. So that line of thinking which Jiva Goswami gave, is it a little different from this? Because in that line of thinking, we actually need a body to express itself.
So how is it different? What is the difference?
So the difference seems that जो उसमें आत्मा है उसमें केवल पोटेंसी ही है, उसमें उसको एक्सप्रेस करने का कोई माध्यम नहीं है.
So how is that different from what is being said here?
I'll think about it, Baba. I'll rethink about it and I'll...
Good. Okay,
Now is the time for one last one.
sure.
So then when you are a Siddha, when an Atma becomes a Siddha, identifies with the
Spiritual
the
one.
Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now there is still a Hridaya Granthi, in that the eye of the Atma and the eye of the spiritual body is tied together.
Now
Is
it
that
is
real?
real. Now it is real,
Okay.
and therefore no fall down.
Right.
Because now you are nitya mukta. You are eternally liberated, and this cannot be broken because it's real. It's not product of avidya. It is of product of knowledge, and knowledge also not part of maya. It's the real knowledge, antaranga shakti, some with potency of Bhagavan. So that's why it is eternal then. And now all the experiences will be real. Whether you are awake or you are dreaming, even the dreams will be real. So then even when you are dreaming, when you are awake, will be real. So you will not know whether this is true or that is true. Like Janak having the dream. Okay, Janaki.
So I just got lost when Tanmai just said that. Why would a Siddha Purusha have a Hridaya Grantha? Why would they have a knot in the heart? If they're liberated.
No, they will have a spiritual body. So Atma is just atomic in size. Now you have a material body and you are joined to that through ignorance, thinking this is my body and this is me. When you go to the spiritual world, you have a spiritual body. So you will identify with that spiritual body, this is my body, but that identification will be real. So there is joining of these two, that is Hridaya Granthi, that's what he is calling. Hridaya Granthi, or the tying together.
Got it. Thank you.
Mohini.
My question is a follow-up to Tanmai's. So you say that all experiences will be real, the dream experience will be real. So do you also experience a dreamless state when you are liberated? Or you only experience wake and dream?
It's up to you. Now you are not under the control of the gunas. So you are not bound by Maya. Now you are under the influence of Antaranga Shakti. So there everything is for the service of Bhagwan. So you are not helpless like that. So it depends on the devotees. Okay.